Folks, we are back. 3 episodes in one day. One freaking day. But there is a small issue. This small issue might be may or may not have lost an episode. It's episode 30. So great episode too. It's me talking about when the genius isn't understood, the genius is blamed. And it was a great episode. I loved it, to be honest. So hopefully it's out. Hopefully it worked. In short, what happened? If you saw episode 31, we're on a new what did Rick Ross say? I'm on a new level. Must be in a hooligan, folks. But what happened is my phone is near out of space and my laptop is near out of space. So every time with these videos, after I record one or two of them, I have to delete the videos off of my phone because they're like 15 gigabytes a thing, right? And likewise on my computer, because it ends up being like 3 files. It's like a screen recording, then I print it off with the new audio, so that's another recording, and then I print it off with the face audio. So it's like every video ends up being 3 videos. So it takes up a ton of space. And yeah, so in my delete frenzy, I was in the process of uploading episode 30. Don't know why I uploaded episode 31 before 30, but I did. And then, and I was like, oh, I better upload episode 30. And then I went on this deleting frenzy of like, well, I should probably also record another episode. Let me just do what I do, delete. And I was like, oh, oops. So, yeah, so maybe a lesson to slow down, take a beat sometimes, but full speed ahead, we're back at it. So, and I watched back 31, and I ultimately do realize I think I do want to do task column stats. I think that's going to make the most sense for this. So all it should really realistically be is just an array of task columns, I believe, of task column IDs, really. Task column stats. And we'll say task column stats ID. That is correct. Say task column stats. It's really just going to be a string or an array of strings. So let's dive in. Maybe I need some podcasting material, something to talk about before diving fully in. So the water thing that happened. Talked about how I deleted an episode. The genius is often blamed if he's not understood. What else can we cover, folks? What else can we cover? Weather's an absolute myth. Let's not even bring up that discussion. Okay. So update task column. We're going to take out all this logic that we were doing for update task column and that endpoint. That is going to be too much pain in the keister. So let's go to task column. We were looking at updating the task column, which will still update the task column. We just won't do the stats part of it. So we'll still end up utilizing that endpoint, I believe. But we won't worry about it right now. Let's get our concern on what it needs to be. And that concern, guys, I'm going to turn the audio much higher up. Maybe that's too high. Yeah, I think that might be just a little bit too high still, because I can hear the laundry in the background. and I'm cooking right now. So I might be exposed in a sec when I have to go get the thing out of the oven. And you guys see that I haven't done laundry in a while, and you're going to see me wearing these orange joggers. So yeah, you know, it's rough right now. Things are rough. Things are a little rough, you know. Out here toughing it. So Hopefully that's good enough audio. At some point, I'm sure it was fine. But anyway, we want to focus on building this task column stat endpoint. Task column stats or task stats, one of the two. Task column stats, what we were going to do yesterday or earlier today, forgive me. Days kind of all blend together when you just keep working, right? Sometimes my girl's like, it's Saturday, let's do something. I'm like, oh, it's another work day. I don't know, folks. I was just raised in a household where it was just normal to, like, my pops is in his prime. Maybe now he's slowed down a bit, but in his prime, you know, from his age 30 to 50, that dude just worked so freaking hard. So I got to see it firsthand of, okay, you know, that's how some of the stuff can happen is you have to work really hard. So we actually did this. We did do task column stats not found. We did do this. We're just going to recreate it. Task column name, I believe task column stats, right? Task column stat. I guess post task column stat, maybe. Post task column stats. Whatever. Tomato. They're the same thing, right? I'm not going to sweat too much about it. So we have a task column ID. We want task column stat ID just for this one. What does our Prisma schema say it is? Stats idea. Okay. There we go. That should be it. What's the error? We're going to try to run generate again. I don't remember if we did that. I thought we did. Maybe not. Oh, task columns, that's why. Task column stats is what this needs to be, not task columns. And we aren't going to do task column name. It'll be task column stats here. Which it'll end up just being the task column ID, I believe. What do we name in the task store? Set task column toggled. Because ultimately, after sitting and watching a little bit of episode 31, I ultimately realized I don't think I want to live on the toggled thing. We just want to use it for now as a thing to visually let us know if this idea will work. I really want to do the red line idea where in between the columns, we can stash these like, you know, a giant red line, basically, and take this functionality out of here. But for now, we can basically use it to populate the array of columns that I want to push into this new feature that we're building. But in the future, basically what I'm going to do is have the red line go like here, and it'll just push 1, 2, 3 columns across into an array. And then if we move the line, boom, over to this one, it'll push these 4 column IDs into an array. So it's going to kind of almost do what we did for the task when we pushed multiple tasks, or multiple task IDs to be specific. But I want to, now that we're calling it set task column toggled, I feel like it should be changed to task column stats, right? Task column stats array to set column stats array or something like that, right? Not picky, not terribly picky. I just want it to be congruent again. And I feel like I'm a little loose here at this point because it's a novel idea. It's another novel idea on top of a novel idea. So it's or feels like a novel idea on top of another novel idea. Maybe this has already been done 100 times, right? I have no idea. But to my existence and my experience, this is a completely novel idea. So I'm having a tough time kind of intellectualizing it. But I think ultimately what it's going to be is pushing a column ID into a new array is fundamentally all we're doing. So task column stats, I believe. So is this going to be an array? This is all going to be an array with an ID appended to it. Seems excessive, but let's see what we can do. So update task column, we will inevitably use that. Great to have that functionality there. We'll say get column or task column stats. I don't like it. Get task column toggled array. I like that a lot more, to be honest. And this will be try catch. So we're gonna change the stats to task column toggled array. Task column toggled, right? And this will be task column toggled ID. And this will be task column toggled array, I suppose, right? Or that's fine too. Let's regenerate the contract, rename a few things, and get off to the races. That seems like it makes the most sense in my brain. The other thing was just hurting my head to think about. Task column toggled. Okay. And we don't want task column toggled ID. We just want boom, that, and task column toggled. Okay. But it's an array. So boom, schema's figured out. Okay. And let's try catch. Let's just grab all of this goodness and our try catch. Nice. Set columns to response. We also need to rename the file. Get rid of the payload. Don't need it. Don't want it. And what are we going to call it? Task column. What do we say? Task column toggled array. It's fine there. We'll do that. Task column toggled. I'm happy to even put the array in there like that. Yeah. Task column toggled array. Fine by me. Fine by me. Task column toggled. I am going to be pumped when this works. This is going to be a really cool thing. Because again, it feels novel to me. I don't know. I can't explain it. It just feels novel. So response.data. If there is a response, do that. And boom. We're building this thing out. Building this thing out. Here we go. Add the task column toggled. Got an error there. I don't know what that was. Task column toggled. Okay, so this should roughly work. I guess we will need to post them. Task store. Task column toggled. Why can we not export it? Why is this? An object little cannot be. Huh? Oh, it's already being exported. Okay. I was gonna say what? What do you mean, folks? What do you mean? Okay. Async function. We'll say post task column toggled array, right? And what else do we need in this? I'm trying to think. So we need fundamentally column IDs. Task column ID. It'll be a string, right? And oh, this is a put request. Just saw that. This needs to be a get request, and this needs to be a post request. And task column ID, boom, we're going to send that payload task column ID, which we can then send and receive, and task column array, which we have task column toggled ID. Wait a second. Task column toggled. So this needs to be task column ID here. And do we need to regenerate the contract? Because technically task column toggled should actually just be an ID of task columns or a string of IDs that we already have. So like task columns. Of relation, right? Something like this. String. task column ID. Let's try that out, right? And I'll say task columns. Does it blend? Does it work? I don't know. I don't know, right? But I thought it would. Thought it would for sure. So let's try this string. Task column ID. Let's try that and that. Nope. Okay. I'm gonna ask our friendly chat Jupiter real quick. Can you fix this schema? I am trying to push an array of task column IDs, excuse me, task column IDs into my DB. Okay. Perfect opportunity for a little sip. Task column IDs. No, it's saying to do it through task. It's not thinking right. Or I didn't prime it right. Okay, so we're gonna figure it out ourselves. Task column ID. Let's see how these other things are set up. Task ID. So do I need to have task column ID? So is this still what did we have it earlier as? Task column toggled. Is it then still task column ID here? I will have to get better at Prisma and understand these relationship fields. Is that it? Is that what we need to do? Or task columns potentially? No? Well, basically I want to verify that these are real columns, that they need to be related to this, right? Task column toggled. But I guess in theory they will all fundamentally be task column IDs, but I do want to make this relationship happen. But let me read more. Well, let me I guess just ask ChatGPT even. Can you explain the at relation fields? Boom. Okay, so in your Prisma schema, you are using the at relation directive to establish a relationship between two models, task and task status. The at relationship directive allows you to define how these models are related to each other in the database schema. Let me explain within the fields the at relation directive. Here you have a task modal, which represents the tasks. So it's talking about this one here. Here you have a task status model, which represents the status of tasks within the model. You define a relationship to the task model using the at relation directive. Let's break down the fields within the at relation directive. At fields. So it's now talking about this specific area. This specifies the fields in the current model task status that will be used to establish the relationship. In this case, it's task ID. Got it. Okay, which is a foreign key in the task status model. This means that the task ID in the task status model will be used to link the task status to the corresponding ID. So that probably needs to be pushed in, I imagine. So we could say task column, I believe. And it won't be task ID, it'll be task column ID. And we'll have string here. And boom. I think that's roughly what it's suggesting. Okay, so references, task ID. This specifies the fields in the related model task that are being referenced by the relationship. In this case, it's also task ID, which is the primary key in the task model. Okay, so task column. Is that not what we need to do? Task column ID, right? So task status is related to task, saying right here. So task column is related to task column, says right here. The at relationship is going to be the ID right here, column ID, or in this case, task ID. And the reference is also going to be task ID. So up here. So yeah. Why is this relationship not working? Boom. Let's see. I'm going to copy that, pop it in. See what it says. Okay, task column toggled. I see. So you also need to define the thing up here as we do in tasks. So it looks like I need to also say task column toggled. And this will be task column toggled like this, right? Boom. And that is how the cookie crumbles, folks. SQL relationships just like that. Who needs a table when you got Prisma? Here is your table. It's kind of cool. Hopefully it works. Let's regenerate the schema now. So, and I believe the reason why we wanted to do that was to make sure that any task ID going in there is a valid task ID. A task column ID, right? So it's obviously going to wreck all of our stuff here. Base column shouldn't be a problem. We'll go to that in a sec. That's just the front end component. Obviously our toggle. This is what we do need to build. So let's see. Let me go to Prisma. What else do we need? Let me pull up our schema to the left side of it. So the data, we need the task column toggled ID. So that's being generated on the fly. So I don't even think we need to pass it in actually, because it looks like we can map it from the data. I believe. Let's just look at one of these APIs again. Post task. Oh, we do. Never mind. We do want to create it. Okay. But we do ultimately map it to the Mongo underscore ID. Task column toggled. Okay, and then do we need to pass in the task column ID? So here is my schema now. Can you fix my endpoint? Boom. So I think we need to index the task column ID, which we get from the rec.body. Columns task column, right? Huh. So what it says here, okay, so we want to still generate an ID, still pass in our task column ID. We're going to generate a task column here. It's going to get toggled, so task column, let's say task column toggled. That's going to be what we send off here. Let's get out of the Prisma. And it looks like store task column ID as an array. Okay. So hopefully that updates and pushes to that array. Looks like it will. But I don't understand why we need this much, to be honest. Is there an opportunity where we could just do this and forget all the relationships? I guess this does verify that a column exists, but do we need to do all that? I feel like there's 3 IDs here for no reason, right? Where every task column in theory should exist. So can we just get away? I know it was a good learning lesson and we learned a bunch of stuff, but can we just do the simple thing? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Sometimes the simple answer is the right answer. Sometimes. So let's npx Prisma generate. I know that's a little back and forthy, but looking at it, it just seems like a lot. We're gonna have to keep track of 3 IDs. I don't want to do that. That just no. I don't want to do it. So that's what we're coming up with. Task column toggled array. Let's go to the task store. We have task column toggled array, and we pass in the ID. We can use the post. Let's go to base toggle. Excuse me. Here's what we'll use here. So we'll have task column name. We actually don't want to do task column name anymore. We want to pass in the what? The ID. That's correct, folks. Good job. Good job. Task column ID. Let's bring it down to our base toggle. Let's find it inside of our doohickey. And there it is. We don't want task column name anymore. We just want task column ID. I guess we can. We could store it as an object. Son of a gun. Now because we're gonna have to index and find it on the front end anyways. If for the search, I guess there's 5 ways to do it. Because we could store an object with both the name and the ID, so we know exactly which columns to filter to say, okay, here's an ID. Or we can store just the task column ID, and then on the position on the base project percentage. We're down to 20%, folks. We're gonna run like the wind. But on here, if we store the ID, if we just store the ID, right, when we say task column toggled, we have to now index and find out which column was toggled. Does that make sense? So we would have to still search our task columns, which wouldn't be the end of the world because we do just get task columns. This is a lot of brain power going into this. I guess we would just literally find the one with the, okay, that's not going to be that bad. Okay, false alarm, folks. So let's close that one out. We have task array. Okay, get column tasks. How could we test that this thing is working? We could go to task column. Oh, we need to correct this. So base toggle. We want task column ID. So it's just going to push the, every time we click toggle, it should just push this column ID into the new function we made. Hopefully it's all working and we can pretend it's all working perfectly. And out of that, we should be able to see, let's see if we go task store, get task column toggled array, map it out, say t equals this. Let's just return t for now. Which will just be a column, basically. Why is map not allowed? Okay, not a problem. Oh, because of course we gotta get the response. False alarm, folks. My bad. Hold on. Let's pop it up here, and then this will be task columns toggled. Boom. Now that should be. If we go to the task store, I think we need to edit the array because it's not an array, it's just a string. So it needs to be a string of arrays, and double check that the response is being set down here, which it is, res.data. Cool. So obviously all of our errors are going to be here because we're not indexing the correct column as mentioned earlier. We will do that. We just want to make sure the correct columns are being indexed right now and make sure everything's linked up proper. So base column is throwing an error, different error, but let's pop this open. We should start seeing, boom, done. Did it work? Do we have any Axios 405 method not allowed? Yeah, why is that not allowed? Okay, let's go to our test store. Let's just make sure we're getting our task ID for the column. Sure we are. If it's getting out to the, so I guess the faster thing would technically be to, boom, nice. Okay, so it is getting the task column toggled and it's coming in as an object. Great. So that is getting fired off, and then let's go to the endpoint. I guess point being is it probably always would be faster checking the endpoint because, oh, rec.body. We are, maybe we could do rec.query because maybe we don't want to do the body. Yeah. Yep. Let's do the query. Task column ID. But what I was saying was we could probably skip a step there and just go straight to the endpoint, because the endpoint is going to let us know a lot faster, right? If we go straight to the endpoint and it's working there, we already know it's working in the store, right? So it just cuts out a step. But anyway, we're here now. Let's say console log. We might need to change the folder structure from backend. We definitely will need to change the folder structure because this needs to be task column ID within a folder named this. So boom. And let's change this to task column ID. Boom, guys, I'm running like the wind. I'm running like the wind. Okay, so I think that solves that problem. Let's double check our endpoint. Here's our pretty task column ID. Make sure everything's up to date. npx run Prisma. I think we are. I don't know why I did that, but can never be too safe. And let's see. Let's pull the trigger. Let's pull the trigger, see what happens. Let's break something. Boom. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything, folks. Boom. I didn't see anything pop up here. So that gives me low confidence that the task ID is working. Oh, not that one. We want this one. And boom. Okay, so let's see. 404 not found. Okay, we've dealt with this like 5 times, I feel like. By what? How do we deal with it? Every time. We need to document this. Like I need to be very explicit on the steps of doing this. Pages, where are we at? Pages, boom, API. Nope, not the draw. Okay, API. Toggle task column ID. Let's go to the store, make sure we're firing off proper here. So we have the task column ID. That's not where we want it. Ooh, that's going to be where. Okay, because it's going to be calling that endpoint, but that endpoint doesn't exist. So we need to make a task column toggled array.ts. And we need to separate these two because we have a post function, which is for specifying one specific task column stat, right? And we'll maybe align on the naming here in a sec. They're kind of named a little wacko, right? And we don't want to get function out of here. Let's remove all that. Okay. And refresh the DOM. Make sure we are all good to go. And let's see. So we got our get function here. Where is our task column ID? There we go. Boom. So task column ID, we got from backend right next to it. Let's see if this is going to work. Well, we're breaking something. Objects are not valid React child found within the keys. Finally, Prisma disconnect Prisma client. Let's not do that. How about that? Thanks for nothing, chat. No, just kidding. Okay, so task store, it's probably not there. Let's see. What is it? What is this error? What does it keep saying? Was that it? No. Okay. Error objects are not valid as React child if you meant to render a collection of children, use an array instead. So get task, get column stats. Ooh, folks. Is it task store? Is this where our issue's coming from? Get use an array instead. Use an array instead. I need to figure out the folder structure for this because it's not very clean for me right now. Use an array instead. Let's see. Let's break it here. Make sure we're all good. Okay, we found the problem. So this is it. This is going to be it. Okay. Find many task column toggled. So why is that an issue? Let's try to cheat the system. Boom. Compile. Okay, it did work. Nice. But I think this is still going to break because we have something going on here, right? So, but I do think it's working. So if we go to the column, right, and now it's going to refetch from the columns array. Well, it won't work actually because if that endpoint is broken, it's probably not going to work. Yep, so objects are not valid as a React child. I wonder if it's talking about this. Let's see. That would be awesome. It is. Okay, cool. So it's lying to me, which I don't appreciate. Tell me how to live my life, you know what I mean? Unreal. So we'll say key. We'll say that's T. Task column toggled. Isn't that what we labeled it in the store? I thought that's where we labeled the array in the store. Yeah. Yep, there it is. Task column. Oh, task column toggled. Okay, so we need T dot task column toggled. Task column toggled ID. Boom. That might be it, right? Huh. But why does it not exist on string? We just saw it. We just saw it there. But anyway, well, at least we now know. Okay, boom. There it is. It's showing up at the top of the screen now. We have a ton of re-renders, so we're going to need to figure out that issue. Still, that is a bug. That is a bug. But we're kind of blasting through still the Kanban page, still adding all these features and functionalities where I think it's all going to play out really well together when it's finally done. Or at least like strongly done. So task column toggled. Task column toggled ID. I see it right there. So I imagine that's the first task column, right? Let's try another. Let's just try to give it a go. So that one's E3 or EO3. Let's refresh it, make sure it's all working. Perfect. I think that's it, right? EO3. I can't see the EO3. EO. Was it EO3? Oh, maybe it started with something else. From backend, EO3 from backend. No, I think that was it. Was there more or less? I forget, folks. Was there more or less? Was it this one? Let's try that one. That was 3B something. I thought this was the very first one we tried. Okay, so we got 3B something. Okay, so it is adding them. That's all that we need to know. 3B something. Okay, cool. And let's go to where we're building the column percentage component. This is where it's all going to come full circle because this has been a lot of mental gymnastics and trying to figure out how to do this. But now I believe all we need to do is just figure out the column that is one of those and pop it in here. So I guess two things. First, this was just doing a one string, but now it needs to do an array of any of them, any and all of them. And then it needs to find the index of them. So task column toggled, we need to start there. or I'll say console log task column toggled, right? Let's go to this component, the dashboard. But this is where it should be. After we've entered them into, right? This is where it should all be. Use effect. Let's pop this in there. Boom. Okay, so now we could say task column toggle. We should have access to those data. That's exactly why we did all this, is to find that array with all of these numbers. So I'm expecting this array here to pop out with some of these. I believe it is. Here, boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's try that. Let's see. Here, boom, 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 boom. There it is. Okay, cool. So there's all of our, obviously we have a ton of re-renders. Is it just gonna keep rendering? Okay, so we need to figure that one out too. That's obviously not good for optimization. Why would it do that? Dependency, task, store task, we don't want that. Thought we fixed that bug a long time ago. Let's refresh and see. We should only see like 1 or 2 renders, or however many projects there are, right? Like 10 of them or something. That's fine. 21 is fine for now. Okay, so we have the task column ID. Now we need to find const, we'll say task column headers, right? And that's where we're going to look for. We need to sift through all of our task columns. So if we go task store task columns, do we have the task columns here? Dot map. Dot map. We'll say task column. So this is going to find all the task columns, and then we need to index the task column. Oh, no, other way. Task column, right? Index of this ID, right? Should it give us all those indexes? Something like that, right? Task columns, or is it just this that we need? Huh? Task column map. Oh, forgive me. Task column, task column, task column toggled ID. There's got to be an easier way. This seems like just too much, right? I just want to find. Well, if we push the object, if the object has the name with it, can we not just pop in task column? So we have the ID with it. Okay, boom. So there's the ID. Task column toggled. We'll say string is not assignable to what is it? Task column toggled ID. Do I put it on this side or this side? One of the two. Okay. Does not exist on string. What do you mean, folks? What do you mean? Okay, so let me slow down for a hot sec. So we have all of our things here. Let me just make sure we have our task columns, task store, task columns, right? So that would be why. Task store, we don't have our task columns. Let's go ahead and get those task columns. Pop that into here as well. Okay, now we have an array of these. Perfect. So now I think we should be able to map index of test store. Well, how do I get just the IDs out of this one, right? So if I want the first ID, I should just map it, right? So I say task column toggled ID, right? So that should just be that one, but it's throwing an error and I don't know why. As string. What is the error? Task column ID does not exist on type string, but what are those? Oh shoot, folks, I can smell my fish burning, my fish burning in the oven. Oh, I'm about to be exposed. I'm about to be exposed for my fans. I can't show you guys. I can't. Shoot. You've seen it. You've seen it. Hold on. One moment. Okay. Not too much exposed. But let's think about this for a second. So it needs to be any task columns in this array, right? So we got 10% battery. So is it just going to be easier to just push the object with the name? Or tomato, I guess we got to do the same thing, right? So let's say task columns in task columns, I don't know, toggled, task column names, task column toggled names. I could probably work on the naming on that, right? But let's think about it. So we can toggle the task columns that exist. So we have the task columns that exist, and let's think about it. We want to index through the task columns that exist for one of them that equals this one of these column IDs. So I believe we could filter or map, right? One of the two, task column. And we want to say return the task column. Return the task column. Return the task column name, right? Believe for the task column dot task column name. No. Oh, folks. Okay, so task columns. Let's think about it. It's a filter here that I think I need to do a filter into a map. So this is a bit of a heady thing for me, right? So task column dot return task column. This is what we just wrote out, right? Task column dot task column name, right? Or is this where I would map and say the index of this one? Task column name basically equals, let's say backlog, right? Does that work? Task column names, no, we still got a Sigma thing. Okay. So let me simplify it then. Let's go back one object, right? So that should just work. That should just return the task column with this ID. Should, in theory, but it's not. Huh. Okay. Let me pull open our trusty steed here. I am receiving an array of task column toggled IDs. Like such. And I want to filter my task column for any task columns with the same ID, and ultimately return the name, right? So here's what I have so far. Oh, shoot, I forgot to add the thing. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. I did this very, very problematic Babson. And I remember it being either a map to a filter or filter to a map. I can't remember. But it's like, it ended up being this nested object. And I would reassign. Yeah, maybe I do need to study some data structures and algorithms, right? Right, let's see. Okay, what did he do here? Task column toggled ID. Maybe I'll explain my Prisma schema. Okay, let's see. Toggled ID, boom. Index, find the names. Use filter to find the name, so it's a filter to a map. Task column. It's task column ID, okay, not task column. Boom. Think task column dot task ID, right? Boom, boom, boom. Task column names. Huh. So in the task column, we have the task column ID equals oh, I see. We're not even filtering for these. Task column. So this is almost right. We just need the task column ID equals task column dot toggled task column toggled ID. Right? No, I just return task column toggled dot task column toggled ID, right? Maybe it doesn't need to be a nested object. Okay, let's see. Ah, good old dot includes. Should have tried one of those out, right? Task column. No, it's still not appropriate. It's still. So task column ID includes the task toggle ID, which I suppose we could pass in now. Say task column. What do we have? Task column toggled. Dot map task call ID equals task call ID dot task column. Sorry guys, this is there's gotta be a better approach, because this is just Probably not the best approach, right? But it is a tricky thing. It is a clever thing. So let me sleep on it, because we spent a lot of time on this and still didn't come up with something functional. At least we got this part done of posting the ID into this new model. But yeah, let me think on how to pull that. It really shouldn't be this hard. It's just indexing the same model, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'll definitely figure it out. I will. I promise. I promise, guys. Or I'll sit here and chat GPT it. But basically, that I think ultimately when we figure out which one to return, we can just pop that down here, whatever it is, and I think we're good to go. I think everything will still be good to go. So I'll work on it. Be back in a jiffy. Cheers.